Good afternoon. Senator Shelby always started his hearings on time, which a number of his ranking members found out over the years who weren't there yet. So in the spirit of that, and while Denny chimes is reminding us of the top of the hour, we'll go ahead and get started. First, I'd like to welcome you all to the ceremony to dedicate the Shelby Institute for Policy and Leadership. The guests here today are numerous. They say occasions like this bring out the finest people. So first, I'd like to welcome all of our trustees who are in attendance. Of course, Dr. Stuart Bell, our first inaugural director, Fess St. John, former chancellor, Professor Mark Brandon, former dean of the law school, who will be our first academic director. And then, of course, all the members of the advisory board who came today, and of course, Dr. and Senator Shelby. I'd also like to give a special thank you to Mark Foley, university system, who absolutely worked tirelessly for the past year with the Shelbys and with the university system and with the university itself to create what we see here today. And I'd like to say just a few words as we start to kind of frame, I think, what the Shelbys at least have expressed to me their vision for this institute is. The institute has three primary functions as defined by the board and by the Shelbys. First is, of course, to promote and preserve the senator's legacy as a legendary policymaker and public servant for 50 years in office. Second is promote scholarship, to preserve and promote his legacy. And then third, and maybe most importantly, this is also to train and support a new generation of leaders for our state and for our nation. Late in my time here at the university in a seminar over there in Manley Hall, I was introduced to a book that had just come out called Cultural Literacy by Professor E.D. Hirsch. And that book was somewhat controversial at the time, probably shouldn't have been, but it did engendered some debate. And then shortly after that, when I went to graduate school the next year, Alan Bloom's Closing of the American Mind came out. Both men, they came from different philosophical roots, different strains of the philosophy tree. But in the end, they both were driving at the same thing. And that was the question was, what was the purpose of the academic institute, the academy, and what was it accomplishing? Especially as a repository and a vessel to transmit the Western ethos into another generation of leaders. And what were we doing? Were we succeeding or failing in that? And that was what they were really questioning, both of them coming at it from totally different angles. As a result, when we talk about leaders in that context, we're talking about broadly educated individuals who well-rounded, who become repositories of 2,500 plus years of Western culture and civilization, and who can build on that as citizens and leaders in any endeavor as they carry forth that knowledge, which is powerful and defines the soul. So in the 40 some odd years that I have been associated with the Shelbys, I've come to know an awful lot about, I think, their intellectual beliefs and deeply held thoughts about education. And certainly one of the most important parts of that is, of course, again, the training and education of leaders. The Shelbys believe, I think, foremost, and again, the preservation of our Western intellectual heritage, and by extension, the development and continuation of our social, economic, and educational institutions that have sprung from that philosophy. And their careers and service are an absolute direct reflection of that passion. Dr. Shelby, as a professor of business, both here at the university and at Georgetown University, and of course the senator is a legendary figure of influence and service in our representative institutions. Their professional lives embody the very term leadership. And the structure and mission of this institute is a perfect reflection of both their lives and their deeply held beliefs about how, yes, a literate and well-rounded citizen becomes a leader, and how we should educate to preserve and advance a civilization that's based upon inquiry, debate, knowledge, and human creation. So as part of their shared vision, Dr. and Senator Shelby conceived this institute and its educational mission to first and foremost stress interdisciplinary study beyond just simply the study of American political institutions. And as such, with the support of the Board of Trustees and the University administration, They have established an educational institution that belongs to and will draw upon all of the intellectual resources of this university that will create a level of cultural and intellectual knowledge in students that will again allow them to succeed in many, many fields of endeavor as again fully rounded leaders. Their dedication to a substantive education is well reflected in buildings all over this state on university campuses that bear their name. But this building and its programs will be one that will stand as a reflection and concrete reality of their total vision for education of our young people as the next generation of leaders for our state and our nation. So for that, we can't be grateful enough as we establish this institute, and it is critical time for our nation and our culture. And so with that, I would ask you all to join me in thanking the Shelbys for this one additional contribution that they made to this university and to our state's educational infrastructure. So I mentioned that the university has been absolutely fantastic in supporting the construction, and not just the building you see here and the beautiful renovation, but also the willingness to share the resources, to not allow this institute to be balkanized by any given department or mission, but to be willing to step up, not just financially, but again, to share the intellectual resources of this university to again, create that total educational environment. So it's my honor to introduce the president of the university, Dr. Stuart Bell. And again, our undying thanks to you, Dr. Bell, for all you and the university are doing and have done to make this a reality.
Well, my welcome and thanks as well. I'm not sure that I'll add a lot, but I will be short and brief, but I will also be to the point. This is an exciting day, and I want to express my appreciation to everyone who has a hand in it, and there are many. Again, my welcome to our trustees, to the faculty, to the staff, to the students who are here today who are going to benefit so much as a community from what we're doing today. We are deeply grateful for the visionary leadership of Senator Shelby and Dr. Annette Shelby for what you all provided to this university in many, many ways, but particularly today for the establishment of the Shelby Institute and for making that possible on our campus. There's a lot of things that have changed over the years at the university, and we've heard about some of those over the years from Dr. Shelby and from Senator Shelby. But you know what has not changed at this university is the heart of this university, the mission of this university, and the purpose of this university. And that is to take the young people from this great state of Alabama, to empower those people to have a career, to have an impact like they would not be able to have if it weren't for the University of Alabama to be here. In order for us to accomplish that mission, we have to have many people who support the university fundamentally and provide opportunities like the opportunity we're cutting the ribbon on today, and that will now in perpetuity serve a group of students, faculty, and a community that it's almost hard to take in when you think of the generational impact that we're going to have here. Your students, they'll be a part of this, will have children, and their children will partake in this, and their children will partake in this. And they will be prepared, again, to lead new companies, to lead new programs, certainly to be policy leaders and to be servants of the public, just as Senator was and you were for so many years at the University of Alabama and across our country. So we are so thankful for the pivotal role that you have played to allow, through this latest piece, the University of Alabama to be the capstone, the flagship university, certainly for this state, but truly a role model for other universities across the United States. It's an exciting day for the University of Alabama, for our students, for our faculty to be a part of that. I also want to point out and lift up Finest St. John for certainly his leadership and dedication to the University of Alabama for many years, and now as inaugural Executive Director of the Shelby Institute for Policy and Leadership. You know, I think of two qualities that are so important of individuals, and that is dedication and that is leadership. Sometimes I look around and we're in short supply of some of those. But I will tell you, when I look in the eyes of the young people today, if I turn on the 6 o'clock news, I don't want it on very long. But when I walk across our campus, I could take 2 or 3 of those walks a day and visit with the young people who have a vision, who have a heart, who have a passion. And let me tell you, they have got energy. Because we live in that house and I hear it 24/7. They have got energy for good, for change. They've got energy to make this country, continue to make this country a great place to live. The Shelby Institute holds incredible potential for shaping the future at the University of Alabama. And through this center, it will do that. We will continue to push the boundaries of knowledge, the boundaries that inspire public service for the good and transform lives. So once again, I want to give my deepest thanks to Senator Dr. Shelby for your undying passion for young people, for allowing them to achieve things they would have never achieved if they were not on this campus. And now they'll leave this campus and have wonderful lives and impact people around you. I'll look so forward to seeing the impact of this center over the coming years, being able to transform those lives and to make dreams bigger than they are today for our students, but then to make those dreams reality. Thank you all again for being out. Thank everyone for joining us. And of course, Roll Tide. Thank you.
So it's my great honor now to introduce someone again who has been as much of a mentor to me again in almost 40 years as anyone. And you know, sometimes we all like to tell funny anecdotes, but so in 1986 in the campaign for Senate, when I was here as a student, I was working downtown in Senator Shelby's little bitty campaign office as a volunteer. And Dr. Shelby came in when she got leave to Georgetown and was done with her duties there for the year and spent the rest of the time working in the campaign. And I found out very quickly, writing a few campaign materials, that she was absolutely a much tougher grader than any professor I had here at the university. But again, her life has been an absolutely remarkable story, and I think it's all well known to many of us here that we're almost all family. So, but in any event, it's absolutely my honor to introduce again someone who has again been a mentor, an intellectual friend, and a great supporter of me throughout my career, Dr. Annette Shelby.
It is a wonderful day. Can you hear me back there? It is a wonderful day, a wonderful occasion, and I too want to acknowledge those who have made it possible. The members of the Board of Trustees who approved the creation of the Institute, who took custody of the archives and housed it in this historic building. To President Bell, who has supported this enterprise since day one, to former Chancellor and former Board of Trustees President Finis St. John, who oversaw the renovation of the hall, who ensured the archive would be on this campus, and who will now serve as Executive Director of the Institute. I'm grateful too to the members of the advisory board for their in-kind contributions. They are not on anyone's payroll. Thanks to the architects, the builders, the stagers for the renovation, the university librarians, Dr. Ed Bridges and Mr. John Kelton for the selection and display of materials for those affected by traffic delays, parking disruptions, dust, and mud. All of that now is behind us. I'm here today because of my husband, Richard Shelby, who has generously shared his honors and awards with me throughout these years we've been together. For that, I'm very grateful. Though I have limited papers and artifacts housed here, my own academic legacy is my students, who I taught for 30 years. On the other hand, my husband's contributions during his 52 years of public service clearly needed to be documented and preserved. To make that happen, I put my oar in it and engaged and encouraged his staff to unearth boxes of dusty records, to mine filing cabinets for relevant material, to prepare documents in a readable condition, to gather pictures, paperweights, and other stuff. That, by the way, is a technical term. The papers that are here constitute an abridged record of his daily work and his contribution. The pictures show his personal contacts with constituents, school groups, friends, government officials, city, county, state, federal, and international. The artifacts, the plaques, the paperweights provide insight into his impact, not only on his Alabama constituents, but on the national, larger audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Shelby. Finally, I'm going to introduce a person that absolutely needs no introduction. And I would say that probably everything that was ever going to be said about him has almost been said. But there's a lot to be written about him, about his legacy, his work, as Dr. Shelby was just alluding to, the collection here that the university now holds. So the scholarship that will go on here will do a lot of writing, maybe, like I said, less speaking, which is the most important thing we can do now for Senator's legacy. So it's my, again, great honor, highlight of my life and career, to introduce, again, the man who mentored me and changed the entire direction of my existence, Senator Richard C. Shelby.
Wow. Thank you, Stuart Hall, Dr. Hall, Dr. Bell, members of the Board of Trustees. It's tough to follow your wife, isn't it, when she's an academic and you're in an academic setting. But I've been following her a long time, though. I first met her when she was a 19-year-old Phi Beta Kappa junior in college, and I followed her across this campus. And I'm still following her today when I got out of the car. And I'll be following her, I guess, for a few more years, who knows. But this is a great honor, Dr. Bell. You're an engineer, trained, PhD, everything. And what we're going to do, the Institute and so forth, and you understand that. What you're going to do with an endowment here for STEM, you understand that well. We've talked about that. Chancellor St. John, you made a lot of things happen here. We go back a long time with your dad and I, and your mother, and us. Dean Brandon, you're the man of the hour too, former dean, great scholar, to implement the Institute. It has to be done, and it will be done right. But it's what goes in this Institute and what comes out that counts. What goes in will come out like a computer. And I think this is a great thing for the University of Alabama. And what's the university about? What is this university about? It reflects the whole state. It's a state university. It's the leadership And as I mentioned earlier one time, it's an incubator of the future. And I think this institute could be and will be a segment of that in the years to come. Of course, it's going to be up to the people that come in and run it and do it, and we'll be on the sideline hoping and praying for you both. But it's a good day for the Shelbys. It's flattering. It's something I never dreamed as a student that I'd be coming back here for something like this. But thank you for everything. Thank the trustees. Thank the people. And I look forward to looking through this from time to time and go from there. We've had a good run. The university has always been part of my life, will be part of your life, and so many more to come. Thank you very much.
So finally, I want to introduce Finus St. John, who graciously has agreed, after finishing his tenure as chancellor, to do again one more service for this university and to be the initial director of this institute. His knowledge of the university, I think when his name surfaced and he expressed his willingness to do this to the Shelbys and others in the university community, was a complete win for all of us involved with this project. So could not be in better hands for the launch. And again, very, very pleased that I've had the privilege the last few months of working with him to, again, see him and others realize this thing in concrete reality. So without further ado, I will hand it over to the initial director, executive director of the Institute, Finus St. John.
Really not much to add after those great words from everyone who's here, but I would like to say that today is a great day. It's the end of a long process, but it's the beginning of a momentous journey. There are so many people that I would like to thank, and several of them have been mentioned, but please allow me to do that. First and foremost, to the Shelbys. This whole thing started with a phone call 3.5 years ago when Senator Shelby called to say that he wanted to donate his official papers and archives to the University of Alabama. That was the seed that grew into this institute. Dr. Shelby has guided it from the beginning with the vision that this should engender scholarship and research. The Board of Trustees has supported this vision from the beginning, authorizing the renovation of this beautiful building and the creation of this institute. Dr. Bell, thank you for your support, along with Provost Jim Dalton, thank you for your support. We hope that your confidence in us will be repaid by the results of our efforts. 3 years ago, shortly after that telephone call, I asked Mark Foley, Secretary of the Board of Trustees, to spearhead the creation of the Shelby Institute. He spent many hours and traveled many miles, and we would not be here without his work and his guidance. So Mark, thank you for what you've done. We're also fortunate that Tim Leppard assigned Mary Catherine Holt, who is here today, to manage the renovation of this building. And as you can see, it has been rescued and resurrected into a showplace that we and the university can be proud of. My favorite historian and friend, Ed Bridges, has applied his years of experience as an archivist and is leading the ongoing efforts to put in proper perspective the records of an incredible career. Historians for generations to come will owe you a great deal of gratitude. And John Kelton has designed and produced the exhibits you will see inside. His passion for this project is evident and much appreciated. The members of the advisory board, the volunteers that Dr. Shelby mentioned, led by Stuart Hall, whose names are on the program, have agreed to volunteer their time and judgment to hold us to the assigned mission. Create a nonpartisan, academic, experiential program to identify and train future leaders of the state and the nation from across all disciplines in the university. We are truly honored that this group of knowledgeable, committed, and very busy individuals are behind us. Jackson Boyd, one of our advisory member's sister, the junior senator from the state of Alabama, has given tremendous guidance and support. Jackson, please extend to her our deepest thanks. And lastly, I would like to introduce the newly created team of the Shelby Institute. It is a great pleasure to announce that Mark Brandon, former dean of the University of Alabama School of Law and currently the Thomas E. McMillan Professor of Law at the law school, has agreed to serve as the academic director of the Shelby Institute. I am humbled that Mark has joined this endeavor, and I know his commitment to our mission. We could not have dreamed of a better partner as we embark, so I thank you, Mark. Dr. Daniela Cisnera, who holds 3 degrees from the university, comes on as program director and brings great enthusiasm and knowledge of student-focused undergraduate pursuits. Caroline Carpenter joins us from the system office with long experience leading student programs at the law school, the College of Engineering, as well as many administrative and operation responsibilities across the university system. She will serve as Director of Operations. I am very fortunate that all have agreed to join us. That 3 such talented and idealistic people wish to be a part of the Institute tells me that this effort is meaningful and filled with potential. So I think from these comments, we understand our marching orders. We have a lot to live up to. I know that you will watch our every move, especially Dr. Shelby. I ask for your help and your advice. If we succeed, this can be a tremendous benefit to the university, attracting students who we want to be here, training leaders who will mold and guide our state and our country. We have a lot of work to do. I promise you will get our very best effort. And years from now, I believe that historians like Ed Bridges will look back and say, this Shelby Institute for policy and leadership has truly made a difference. Thank you. I hope you'll enjoy the tour. We appreciate your being here, and wish you all a very, very happy day. Thank you.